So I know I said I'd be done with sports for the week after yesterday's episode of Sports Central, part of the Closing Tag Network. But there was some breaking news this morning, which I'll get to in a bit. But first, I want to send my heartfelt condolences to the Golden State Warriors organization, as well as the family of Dejan Milojevic, who died this afternoon. If you don't know who Dejan Milojevic is, he is an assistant coach for the Golden State Warriors. He was hospitalized last night in Salt Lake City, Utah, after suffering a heart attack during a private team dinner. I'm assuming it was probably at PF Chang's or one of the popular spots downtown. And the doctors declared him dead this morning. They were scheduled to have a game this evening in Salt Lake City, the Warriors versus the Jazz. That game has now been postponed, rightfully so. I don't know a whole lot about Milojevic other than he's an assistant coach. But yeah, this is tough. This is a tough time, I'm sure, for the Warriors organization with everything else that's been going on so far this season. But yeah, this is not good. So I wanted to start the podcast out by sending my condolences to him. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver. Sorry, the old head in me automatically assuming David Stern. Sent out a very thoughtful, very heartfelt statement regarding Milojevic. They had two children. He had two children and a wife. Natasha was his wife. Nicola and Masa were their children. He apparently has spent a good portion of his career as a head coach in his native country of Serbia. I'm just looking stuff up now as we go. But yeah, I'm unable to read the full statement from Adam Silver just because it's behind a paywall on Twitter X, and I refuse to give Elon Musk any of my money. So that's a development I'm sure that will be following as we go. But to the breaking news, and the whole reason why I'm even doing a podcast episode today, I did say during, I think it was like either the NBA predictions or the 2024 predictions, I did say that Pascal Siakam would get traded from the Toronto Raptors before the deadline. I was not expecting him to go to Indiana. So the details per Adrian Wojnarowski are as follows. The Toronto Raptors will be sending all-star forward Pascal Siakam to the Indiana Pacers, and in exchange will be receiving Bruce Brown, Jordan Nwora, and 3 future first-round picks from the Pacers. New Orleans got in on as a third team to help even out salaries and is sending Kira Lewis over to the Raptors. Now, what does this mean for the Raptors? Obviously, they are in full on trying to get more long-term contracts in place mode. And the thinking, I'm sure, is that they're not 100% confident that Pascal Siakam is going to sign a contract extension. I don't blame them. And they don't want him to walk for free like Fred VanVleet did. Again, I don't blame them. Indiana's interesting because not only are they a conference rival, I would argue Indiana's probably the fourth best team in the Eastern Conference right now, before the trade. Because you've got Boston, Milwaukee, Philadelphia, and then Indiana. And Philadelphia has been just surprising everybody so far this season. Tyrese Maxey is a revelation. And speaking of revelations, can we possibly get a most improved player campaign for Tyrese Halliburton? Because that boy has been ballin'. But this gives the Pacers, at least for the next few months, an all-star forward to pair with Halliburton to potentially make a lot of noise in the Eastern Conference. Losing Bruce Brown is probably going to suck. Losing those first-round picks is definitely going to suck. But I have a theory on that. And I'll get to that theory in a minute. I promise I'll get to that theory in a minute. Not like I did with yesterday's, teaser about a conspiracy theory about Eminem versus Taylor Swift that I never got to. So I don't know how much this improves Indiana's chances in the Eastern Conference. But I know this. I would not want to face the Indiana Pacers in the playoffs. Siakam is a defensive beast, and you pair him in the same front court with Miles Turner, that's going to be pretty big. Then you've got a guy like Halliburton that could light it up. And then Siakam and Turner as your offensive rebounders. Indiana's going to be tough. Indiana's going to be a very tough out regardless of who they're playing. I would be so far to be inclined that this trade, at least for now, makes the Indiana Pacers the dark horse favorite to win the Eastern Conference. So that's going to be interesting to find or to follow as we go. I have no idea why New Orleans is even in this trade if all they're doing is sending some scrub, some bench player to Toronto. But I'm sure Toronto's going to be happy with it either way. I'm going to see if there's any further updates on that. Right now, I'm just going off the Mastodon post that was made earlier. So let's see here. So here we go. No, that's it. That's all they get. But apparently, New Orleans is also sending a future second round pick to the Pacers, and apparently I stand corrected. So the 3 future first round picks are going to be 2 first round picks this upcoming draft from Indiana. I did not even know that Indiana had 2 first round picks to give, and the 2026 first round pick from Indiana. And in the meantime, I think that's going to make Indiana, like I said, a dark horse favorite going into the playoffs. I'm going to pull up the stats real quick here for everybody. So right now, Indiana is the 6th seed. That surprises me. So right now, as it stands, here's the Eastern Conference standings. You've got Boston at 1, no surprise there, 31-9. They're the best team in the league, in my opinion. Milwaukee, the second best team in the league, in my opinion, is second place at 28-12. Philadelphia is at 26-13. Cleveland, the Cleveland Cavaliers, is in the 4th seed at 23-15. I shouldn't be surprised by that, but I am. Because last I heard, it was all gloom and doom on social media, like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. Donovan Mitchell's going to demand a trade, da-da-da-da. And Miami's at 5, 24-16. Indiana is tied for 6 with the Knicks at 23-17. And Detroit, kind of following up on that story, Detroit is now 4-36. Still on pace to be the worst team in NBA history, but at least it's not 3-33. So there's that. But what is the... So I wanted to see if I can find out where that second pick is coming from for Indiana. So let's see. Okay. So it would appear that whichever pick from the following is the worst, that's the one that's going to end up going to Toronto with this upcoming draft. So it's either going to be Oklahoma City, Houston, the LA Clippers, or Utah. I'm going to venture a guess and say that it's not going to be Houston. It'll probably either be the Clippers or the Thunder. That's just my guess. I know Utah's been playing excellent as of late, but I think their pick is going to end up going to Memphis. So that's where that second pick came from, apparently. Anyway, that's the entire details, according to Adrian Wojnarowski, of the trade that just happened earlier between Indiana and Toronto, and apparently New Orleans. That's why. So according to Wojnarowski, and as well as Jake Fisher from Yahoo Sports, the deal was made for 2 reasons on the New Orleans front. They wanted to help Indiana match Siakam's salary in the trade. And it also allows New Orleans to get below the luxury tax threshold. That would explain it. That would... See, you always have to wonder what the ulterior motive is with some of these trades. With the Jazz, years and years and years ago, when they traded... who was it that they traded? I know they traded somebody or for somebody. Oh, no, it was that trade with Golden State where they offloaded a whole bunch of salaries for the Jazz. And the whole thinking behind that one, I remember, was the Jazz were so far below the minimum that they were going to end up getting fined if they didn't increase their team salary. So they made the move with Golden State to get, I think it was like Andres Biedrins and like 2 other scrubs that were getting ridiculous contracts. And they ended up helping Golden State clear enough cap room to go get Andre Iguodala, and that's what ended up putting them over the top and making them the Golden State Warriors that we know and love today. So there's that little bit of breaking news. Sorry, my voice isn't my usual. My usual self as of late, but between the sobering news about Milojevic and the fact that I'm still in a little bit of pain from yesterday, I'm not going to get into details on that, and my voice being ravaged from my 30-minute rant about Jerry Jones yesterday. It was worth it, though. I needed to get that out of my system. So, and I love Skip Bayless's, what's it called? His analysis about Jerry Jones. And Skip Bayless is a long time Cowboys fan, and he's just like, I'm done. Like, what are we even doing here? So even Skip Bayless is basically resigned to the Cowboys not amounting to much of anything. But that's pretty much the end of the Toronto Raptors, I think, for the trade deadline. Unless they figure out a way to package those first round picks for somebody. And I'm sure there's plenty of... You know who I wouldn't be surprised if they went after? Zach LaVine. And I say that because Zach LaVine still has, I think, like 3 or 4 years left on his contract. And I know Chicago's looking to rebuild, even though they're like 8th or 9th in the West right now. But I would not be surprised if they went after LaVine. With Chicago looking to rebuild, the belief is that they're going to want first round picks. For the guys that they are looking to trade. I know it's one of the big holdups for trading LaVine to the Lakers, because the Lakers don't have any draft picks. Like, none. And could there be a scenario in which Toronto helps the Lakers get LaVine by offering up first round picks to the Bulls? Maybe. But I'm sure there's got to be something in it for the Raptors too. Who knows? Maybe they get Rui Hachimura. And then Chicago gets Bruce Brown. I don't know. My voice is gone. And the fact that I had to take a swig of water during the podcast recording, that pretty much tells you everything you need to know. So I'm going to wrap it up there. So if you are listening to this on Spotify, leave a review. If you're watching this on Facebook, like, share, and comment. If you are watching this on YouTube, there it goes again. Like the video, hit the bell for notifications, subscribe to the channel. That way, once a new video drops, you are notified. And I would say, well, first of all, let me say, we are going to be going away on Google Podcasts. That's pretty much a given come April. It's transitioning over to YouTube, and since we're already on YouTube, I'm not going to worry about it. But yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, what do you think of the Siakam trade? Do you think this is a good move for the Raptors? Do you think this is a good move for Indiana? Do you think Toronto's done now with trading, now that they've traded both Anunoby and Siakam? Or is RJ Barrett next? Or is Bruce Brown next? Or are those first round picks going to come into play? Lots of variables, and we're only just a few short weeks away from trade deadline. So I think things are going to pick up here pretty soon. So let me hear your thoughts. And thank you again for listening, for downloading, for donating, for watching, for doing everything you can to help support the podcast. Your efforts are not going unnoticed. So thank you. And I am going to go take a throat lozenge. So until next time, guys, remember to include your closing tags. Thanks.